Hi, guys, and thank you for joining this episode. I am going to be talking with Mike D. He is the founder of Reelblack. I'm going to get into that in a moment, but I want to tell you a little bit about Mike. He is a graduate of both NYU Film School and the American Film Institute. His 2008 short film, The 13th Amendment, played in several festivals and won the jury prize in CNN's inaugural iReport Film Festival. In 1989, his NYU short, Who is Chris Rock? I'm sure you guys may remember that. It went viral after being featured in the Huffington Post and followed up with Ladies and Gentlemen, Jordan Rock in 2011. And so this guy, he's iconic in the film industry if you do not know anything about him. But I want to tell you a little bit about Reelblack, its mission. And then I'm going to let Mike kind of get into the nuts and bolts of everything about Reelblack. But Reelblack's mission is to educate, enlighten, and entertain and empower people through Black film. It's on YouTube, you guys. And so I'm going to let Mike get into it, but I just want to give you a little bit of a preview of what's in store for this episode. So here we go. Hello, you guys. I have Mike D here. Mike, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you doing this with me. I know it's a little bit of a short notice, but I just felt that your platform should be shared with the masses, especially considering everything that's going on today. There's a lot of white people that saying they want to be educated more. There's a lot of Black people that saying, okay, what can I do to help my white friends and my white spouses, counterparts, family members, all these kinds of things. And I just think that it's just nice that what you have created really depicts the African-American community accurately. It's educating people, it's empowering, it's funny. And those are the things that we really need. So I wanted to talk to you about it, to share with everyone what you're doing, and to get some backstory. So first, before we get into all that, can you share with us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, it's interesting to hear your perspective on what it is I do. But basically, my name is Mike D. Michael Dennis. I'm a filmmaker. I'm based in Philadelphia. And since, the last 12 years, I've had a YouTube channel. And I'd say in the last 4 or 5, it's really taken off as a place where people can go to for, initially it was Black culture and Black consciousness. And now we're restating our mission as to entertain, enlighten, empower, and educate people through the magic of film, because it's not just sharing work that I've done or interviews that I've done, but also using my curatorial skill, my deep knowledge of Black film, Black culture, and using YouTube as a platform to share things that you otherwise probably would have difficulty finding on your own. So, we're talking about in terms of the films, which is most people watch the channel for. We're curating from a collection that has taken 9 decades to build. 3 decades on my part and 5 decades with Charles Woods, who's my podcast partner. So you get the immediate benefit of 9 decades worth of serious study and research and love and passion for Black cinema.
Yeah, I absolutely love what you guys are doing. I think it's just phenomenal. It's organized, which I really appreciate. I love when I go to someone's YouTube channel and things are like nicely organized and I can find exactly what I'm looking for. So I really appreciate that. And I love what you guys are doing. So
but Ericka, before we jump into that, because we're sharing this on both our platforms, let people know about this podcast and what you do.
Yes, you guys.
Please.
So my name is Ericka Polanco-Webb. I'm a motherhood journalist. I'm also a doctoral student, and I talk about all things motherhood and women. But what's really important is that with everything that's going on, that the conversation about race and being Black, because clearly I'm a Black woman, that I talk about this and share with my motherhood community. And there's dads that, really parenting, really, to be honest with you guys, but parents, any parents, so it's dads that follow me as well. But, it's important that I share these stories, share this information that's out there and highlight the great people that's doing this kind of work. And so a lot of what I do is share a lot of things about being a mom, being a Black mom, and just everything that comes along with parenting. I have 5 kids. One of my children, my son, my only son, he has special needs. He's wheelchair bound. He doesn't walk or talk. And then I have 4 girls. So I have a large family. And so I like to dedicate my work to that, because I think that the stories of women just need to be amplified more and talked about more. And it's a way to empower mothers as well. So that's what I do.
Right, and that's sort of the irony. Like when people say, "Do you have kids?" I always say my films were my kids, because I put some energy into them.
Yeah.
I was raised in a way where I said I never wanted to have kids unless I was able to, give them the same lifestyle or chance at success that I did, and it just didn't happen that way. But those same kind of Jungian things kick in at a certain age. You do want to give back, and you do want to share, and you do want to have a legacy and make the world a better place. So I feel like we're kindred spirits in that sense, beyond the exact same shade of blue
Yes.
shirt that we're wearing. So.
Yes, absolutely, guys. I was a teen mom, and so I like to. This is my way of giving back and letting Black moms, especially because we have the highest, rate of teen pregnancies. I like to let them know that, hey, it doesn't have to, it doesn't have to change the trajectory of your life. It can be good. It can be beautiful. You can still be successful even with being a teen mom. And so that's why it's really important to me to share my story and talk about that, because hey, it's part of who I am. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to share that. So you guys, we're talking about Reelblack, and some of you guys don't know what Reelblack is. And so I want to let Mike tell you guys, what is Reelblack, and how was it birthed? How did it even come to be? So can you share that with us?
Well, I mean, it's my love of film. I mean, in some ways, it takes half your lifetime to figure out who you are or what you do. I've been kind of doing the same thing in different ways for the longest. I mean, the core thing for me is sharing and learning. To me, better than any drug is discovery. When I notice when you talk to people and you just tell them something they didn't know, or remind them of something that they did know but they forgot about, it ignites a part of your brain that you forgot was there, or didn't know was there. A new light bulb goes off, and your eyes light up, and it's like, wow, I didn't know that, or wow, I forgot about that, or about that too. So that's always been my thing, and be it working as a clerk at a video store, or having an emotion and writing my own film, or when I had a chance. Basically, Reelblack started in 2003. I had made, you're talking about somebody who went to film school in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, with the NYU and the American Film Institute. But at that point, the barrier of entry was financial, and I just didn't have the money to go make a movie the way I wanted, or the way I was trained, until 1999, 2000, when Apple Final Cut Pro came out. I don't know if people remember, even a lot of people weren't even born, but it was like little mini DV cassettes. And before that, to shoot a roll with 16mm film, it was $100 to get a 10-minute can of film, and then another $100 to get it out of the lab, let alone what it would cost to project it, and edit it and all that other stuff. So it's cost prohibitive to make any kind of movie on film until 2000. And around at that time, I got my first real camera, and I got some friends, and we went out shooting a bunch of movies. I made 4 shorts and 1 feature film in the space of 2 years. They all played festivals, and I got to travel on them. It was like great. But I also noticed that there weren't many people. There was no outlet for Black filmmakers really in Philadelphia. Jeff Friday had like a traveling thing, but it didn't last very long. So when I was invited by then known as the Prince Music Theater to program films, I took it. I took the opportunity in December 2003, and for 16 years, curated and hosted monthly film screenings designed to promote the discovery and rediscovery of Black film. So we had a lot of up and coming filmmakers, like Pete Chapman, Tanya Hamilton, Nadine Patterson, Ava DuVernay, screen their work. Ultimately, I was in partnership with Ava DuVernay's Array for 6 years, helping to bring their work to Philadelphia. And last September, I just, because brick and mortar was shifting and attendance was down, but, it might take a month of promotion to get 50 people to come out to a brick and mortar event, but I could literally take that same movie and share it on YouTube, and within an hour have 1,000 people. So, once that folded completely, and then I made the full commitment 3 or 4 years ago after doing the Dick Gregory stuff. But now, I try to post at least one video, if not 2 a day, to keep that conversation going of educating, enlightening, empowering through Black film. So yeah, you can find us on YouTube, and I do things on Instagram from time to time. But right now, because of the virus and the interest in Blackness, as so to speak, or justice, or whatever it is making people tune in, we're very successful, and we're adding about 1,100 new subscribers a day at this moment. Yeah, so. Wow. So awesome. Yeah, we're growing exponentially, and it feels very good.
That's awesome. I'm so happy for you guys because you've been putting in the work for so long. And in that light of, your intent behind even creating this, which is to, empower and that kind of thing. And looking at today's landscape with everything that's going on, the murder of George Floyd and all, the race pandemic and all these things going on, it was important to me that, more people know about what you're doing, and they can go to your page as a resource for all things Black culture, especially through film. What is it about Black film that serve as an educational piece about our culture? Because it's something about watching and seeing ourselves on film that it feels like community. It feels good, especially when we are depicted as we see ourselves.
Right. Well, it's everybody relates to story in a way where it's important for us to have reflections, accurate, truthful reflections of who we are. It's stories, mythology helps us not only understand ourselves, but our place in the world. And, when I started making film, my main interest was just like, hey, I want to make what's already out there. And, it's kind of weird things, like you talk about George Floyd and everything, things kind of run in these 20-year cycles. Yeah. So I feel like the same spirit and energy that's happening now today was what we were feeling in 1989 when I was in film school, and then prior to that, 69 when I was born. It just seems like that there's something in that 9 number that constitutes a revolution in America, at least. But we just need to see ourselves as if. And then now, I was deprived of the ability to really see accurate depictions of myself because it was limited to a certain number of outlets and gatekeepers, and who had the money and who didn't, whose idea of who we are was sticking at the time. But now, the explosion, it's amazing because it's sort of like when hip hop first came out. There's a youthful spirit and energy that came into the stories. Right now, I think film is in danger. I mean, our definition of what film is, our definition of what Blackness is, are starting to shift. I'm not saying it's gonna change, but I think the younger people who didn't have the same fights, don't necessarily identify Blackness as being a reflection of oppression, And I think this is kind of a wake-up call for a lot of people, how deep it runs. But I think what people are discovering when they see the channel, because we have not only what's being put in front of us, but the ability to research the past and hold people accountable. And we all start to see just like, wow, this is the same dialogue and conversation that was being had today on my Twitter, which we had 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, and there's a sense that we're 30 years ago, 50 years ago, so now we have access to more information, and there's no need for anybody to be ignorant.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
quite frankly, and quite frankly, the smart people are the ones that are going to win. That's what I was saying. They are winning,
yeah,
because they invented all this technology that we're using. So
yeah,
so we are using the technology, but they're like 10 steps ahead on it. We have to figure out how to use what's in front of us to make things better, I think.
right, right.
But
That's so.
know that it's a game. Know that there are people out that just want
Yeah,
to
that's true.
exploit us for different reasons. So.
That's so true, you guys. Accurate, so accurate. I shared some things about being a Black mom in suburbia. I've shared things about, most recently, I shared how there's this company that has bandages that comes in all different shades. And I shared this content. Back in 2018. And yesterday, BandAid, the brand BandAid, releases, oh, we have bandages in different shades. And I was like, you know what's so interesting? They're only doing it because of what's going on now. There's a company that's been doing it for years now. And
well, that used to be my joke, Ericka. When I was in Denton, I said, you gotta think 10 steps ahead, because there was a guy when I was in college in New York at the Javits Center. We're talking like 1990, 1991. It was a big Black Expo back then, and the Black Expo was like bringing all these businesses and entrepreneurs together, and they'd all have booths and stuff. And there was a guy, he had that what you're talking about, the Band-Aids with all the different shades, and I was like, okay, well, that's interesting, but it's the same size box. So instead of getting 12 strips, you got like 3 of each shade.
Yeah.
So I said, wow, more power to you, brother. And then I don't know what happened to the guy. I guess he's still around. But the next year, Johnson & Johnson came out with clear Band-Aids. It eliminated the whole need, that whole sense of, wow, we feel biased against this.
Yep.
What does they say?
I remember that.
The crayons used to say flesh.
The flesh tone. Yeah.
That changed it. I don't remember them flesh, but I remember when it said peach. But we just have to expand our perspectives, our belief systems,
absolutely,
and our values. But so it's good to know he got Trump twice.
Yeah.
In 1990, they came up the clear, and then now in 2020, the same guy is out of work again, because they just totally jacked his idea completely. So
yeah, and I mean, and that sucks. I hate it for people when they come up with these great ideas, and then they work real hard towards it, and then some years later someone else does it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I came up with this idea years ago. But that's how it goes when you're a creative. You have to try to strike when the iron is hot, as they say. But more importantly, just keep going.
I hope he didn't put all his money into that. I have a strong belief that those were the same warehouse full of bandages that they were selling in 1990. He just dug them back out. So there's some ideas just don't die very easily, and everybody has one in their heart that they need to express. And what I'm saying is just use the technology to connect with people and get. I mean, I also have to thank you for reaching out to me, because it's like it's love, and I think I'm not completely jaded, but I'm just more patient and aware, because again, you don't know what is up the other person's sleeve.
Absolutely.
So from my perspective, it's just, here's the information. Do what you want with it. If it just makes you feel good today, as opposed to like the way you feel when you open up Twitter, then that's the job, And if it's like, wow, like I'm gonna share this with 50 people and get them excited about this thought, or even just the power of having Dick Gregory's videos, capturing them in a high quality format and sharing them, and now they just circulate, and his voice lives on, So I just feel like I'm just a conduit, and I separate art from information. And once it's out there, it's up to you what to do with it. So what are you doing with this information? What attracted you to the channel and your kids, and how are you using Reelblack TV in your own life?
So I watch it. I watch it just sporadically, no different than I watch anything else on YouTube. And I cited it in a recent blog post that I just posted when people were wondering, what to do, what should I do for Juneteenth? This year is people's first year. A lot of Black people are like, okay, I want to celebrate it this year. And so people are wondering, how can they celebrate it? And so I was like, hey, go to Reelblack YouTube channel. There's a tons of Black films and clips and, some things that you may not have seen that, may be worth checking out. And I positioned it to white people as well. If you want to know more about Black culture and you want to find out some of the things that's been going on because you want to educate yourself, then hey, why don't you check out this source? I think it may be helpful for you. So I've been using it definitely as a resource to share with people, to educate themselves, feel empowered, laugh, and just bring back some old memories of, like, who is Chris Rock? People probably forgot about all of that. Just to go and check it out. And so, and even your Dick Gregory videos, it's nice to kind of revert back to those things to kind of get a refresher. So that's how I use it.
Yeah, and I'm not the authority on Blackness. I just love, like I said, I'm working on a book. I love myself too much to hate Black people, but some of y'all, so, we didn't all come over on the same boat. And we're not in a position where we're chained to one another, so any longer, we have the different chains, but we're not chained to one another anymore. And the need to express ourselves and understand ourselves is tantamount. But I just refuse to be ignorant, and I don't want anybody, like when I saw the landscape of what social media is and what film is, and the frustrations I've had over the years in terms of just getting my voice even heard, I said, whatever I do, I have to be a responsible citizen. Holistically, I cannot put things into the ether just for the sake of my own need for attention. Like I got sucked up into MySpace, like
I remember
these are your friends, like that messed my head up for a little while. Those are my friends. It's like, I don't even know where MySpace is, let alone those 3,000 people that were following. But so it can play tricks on your mind if you start to buy that into your reality. And I love that you say you watch it sporadically. But what I want is, like, we try to mix things up and be irreverent with the content and the postings and try to catch people off guard. But the beautiful thing about YouTube is, one, it's free. It doesn't cost them. Nobody has to show up and plug it in. There's no installation fee or charge. Anybody all over the world has access to it. We reach every country, every continent where people are speaking English, and now they even have translators. So it's a global thing. As soon as a video is uploaded, and this is anybody on YouTube, it reaches the world. So that's a good feeling. And then, the barrier of entry is free. So you might check out some things that you might not have ever thought. If somebody's put a price tag on it, you leave it on the shelf. But now people are rediscovering or just experiencing for the first time a lot of things that otherwise they would have been turned off to. So, and then once they're in that algorithm, then we got you.
Right.
Then once you watch 2 or 3 videos, you're not going to stop. And that's a good thing, because otherwise, what are you going to do with your time? You're going to pay attention to what Cardi B did on the balcony this morning, or some other nonsense thing that's just sucking attention away and killing your brain cells, or you're going to get with what we're trying to do. So.
Right. It's nice to recenter yourself and kind of ground yourself sometimes if you, you just get inundated with all the social media stuff. Sometimes it's nice to kind of bring
and just realize that, look, there's no one flavor of Blackness.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad you said that.
There's no dogma to it, but there is a common language that we've developed through these cultural references. And I think, again, hip hop brought that all together sonically, and now visually there's a shorthand that's developed that you know, when people, you know, it's very interesting when when you see the comments. It really, you can see that people's brains are lighting up. So.
Yeah, and that's beautiful when that happens. So in the spirit of educating those who don't look like us, specifically white America, who don't understand us, don't understand our culture, they only seem to digest the bad that they see. What does your content do in your channel? Can you share, you know, how do you guys empower the community? And how do you think
the white community, white people?
No, not the white community, but how do you guys empower our community? But in that same breath, how is your content being able to be kind of a resource? Because like I said, I've told white people to go to the channel and check it out. If you want to know more about Black culture, check it out.
Yeah, but you know, again, I'm writing this book. I mean, you know, it's like, you know, you can't win. I mean, we.
That's so true.
I mean, if you go deeper and deeper, I mean, like we didn't name ourselves anything. You know, most of us don't know our tribes. We're trying to recreate a mythology and understanding where we are in the world. So at the very least, you know, if you can just look at the Gary Coleman documentary, or look at O.J. Simpson before the stigma, or you know, like if you weren't born, you know, or you didn't have the awareness culturally, you have, you know, of what 1992 looked like, or 1989, or 1950. You know, some people just look at the channel. We have videos, not even videos, they're like films, silent movies of Black people walking around in North Carolina. Right. And to somebody, that just opens your eyes, because that's an image that's never been propagated to you prior to that. You know, you have to go to the museum or archive or some research library, even know that this thing existed. You know, Jack Johnson jazz band, or Jack Johnson fighting, or something like that. You'd have to watch it on PBS and, you know, have that stigma of sitting there for 3 hours. You know, so just the awareness is the first thing, you know, towards empowerment. And then I'm not, you know, it's just I've been called all kinds of nerd, this and that. It's just like, people in general, but Black people specifically, they'll be with you until you disagree with them. So I just reserve my right to disagree at all times. You're not gonna like everything I say, you're not gonna like everything that I do, but hopefully I do it in a way that if I do something that you're not comfortable with, you'll question it rather than attack me. And that's the whole concept of mixing it up the way that I do. It's like, why did you put that one on? Okay, and then how does that relate to me? You know, so, but you know, it's just, I'm not, you know, I'm pro-Black, but I'm not a Black supremacist. I'm not a white supremacist. I'm not a nationalist in a sense, but I'm definitely pro-Black intelligence, because if you study any of this, from whatever room you come in on, the one thing that you see is a diabolical system that's in place, that's designed not only to keep you under, but to make you think you deserve it. And that's unnatural, it's unfair, and that's not just. But I don't have breath to sit in front of white people and say, you know, can you feel my suffering? Because I just don't think that works. I think it's great that people are marching and speaking, but I also think that on a certain level, it reinforces this white savior model where, okay, we can't do this for ourselves. We have to have, in order to affect any kind of change, we got to get all these white people on our side. And that's a very, very dangerous subliminal concept, you know, that Black people die. It's just like watching those old racist war movies, those old racist cowboy and Indian movies, even to this day, a Steven Seagal movie where, you know, you can kill 30, 40 Black people without knowing their name, right? They're just dead extra, you know, but then the white person gets killed and they have to do it in slow motion. And then they got to stop the whole movie and cry and everything. It's like, that's not the nature of how this country was stolen or won or became itself. And that's not the way that we're going to see real change. So, I could care less if white folks watch the channel. I love that they do, because a lot of people only respond to the numbers, but also believe in serendipity, that certain things are meant for you at the time that you receive them.
Yep.
And what's great about it is a lot of the videos now that people are sharing and liking and all that stuff, they did nothing the first time they were out.
Yeah.
And even some of these movies, they were not even seen 40 or 50 years. The Secret of Selling the Negro or The Heritage of Slavery. These were TV specials that played one time. Even the Bill Cosby Black History Lost, Stolen Straight was a piece that was done at the same time we are now, in a period of reaction to the uprisings. Okay, we got to do something. Kerner Commission says there's two Americas, so let's start putting Black faces on TV, and let's start examining these issues within the news. But that window is a very short period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the collectors like Charles or me who have a deep knowledge and remember it, and even have the storage capacity, because Charles says a lot of Black people move, they lose photos, they lose videos and stuff. To be able to bring this to everybody globally has been a blessing. But it's not my job to assess what you should do with information. I just think that too many of us don't have open minds. We wrap into our own beliefs, and we use whatever it is. We have cognitive dissonance on both ends. We use information to justify our emotions as opposed to really processing it and understanding how we can make ourselves accountable and use that information to improve ourselves, improve our lives, improve the future for the people that we care about. So like I said, Black sheep, you can get with this, you can get with that, but the fact that we're there, we're fighting to stay there, and the fact that you're speaking to me, those are all good signs and things that I really love about doing what I do.
Absolutely, absolutely. So in this spirit, of moving forward, I like to wrap up these conversations with some words of wisdom from whom I'm speaking to. So as we reflect on what's going on, the state of the world, and everything that's going on with this whole race pandemic, that's what I call it. What do you suggest? What would you like to see from both sides? What would you like to see more of with Black people, and what would you like to see more of with whites? How do you think we can work to ignite change? What do you think? Do you have any words of wisdom with that? I know it's a heavy thing. It's heavy.
Well, the optimist in me says this is another period of time where, especially election year, where our voices can be heard, and certainly the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Right.
The humanist in me wants everybody to be smart and safe in terms of their actions, because there is consequences to everything. And if you're spiritual, you might interpret everything that's happening as the consequence of mistreatment we give to one another, to the earth, and all that other stuff. I don't, the cynical side of me is, for whatever you know or think there's 5 people that know more or using what they know to try to control you, to take advantage, to exploit for their own means. So the beautiful thing about now is that we see the numbers. People are restless, they're speaking up, and it's visible. It's come to the fore. But we've seen these patterns before, and they tend to find ways to die down. So I think we couldn't write a better script. I mean, it's just like a perfect storm of everything.
It is.
And the most important thing is just stay safe.
Yeah.
Keep spreading love. Do things that don't put yourself in that are, when you say, when you believe in things you don't understand, you suffer. So do your best to understand what's going on. I mean, we do what we can through this social media interaction, through conversations, to try to enlighten and empower people. But this is a weird one because, I mean, like I said, I'm saying there's a little trick in terms of how the media is using the visibility. Like, again, it's cowboys and Indians.
Yeah.
It's like Black Lives Matter, but yeah, when the white guy gets hurt, it means a little more, for the ratings. But the interesting thing about this one is, because of the pandemic, it's hitting globally, all this fear and pain and frustration and anger. Mm-hmm. And it's very democratic, as much as if you want to believe the news, and as much as Black people are suffering, anybody could get this. Now, I could make a list of who should get it, but that would be very un-American of me to do that. Just give things time and realize that there's a blip in history, there's a blip in the universe. We're all blips, and just do what you can to take care of yourself first, and do what you can to feel good. And if it's important for you, take action on it. Just don't hashtag, retweet if you like something. Just don't hit if you like this video, don't just hit the thumb. Share it with somebody so they have the opportunity as well. So,
yes, absolutely. You guys hear that? Share it.
That's action. That's action.
Yes.
Action speaks louder than words, Ericka. So
absolutely.
That's all I got. And, thank you for everybody who's been supporting. And obviously, I'm focusing the energy. It's based on things that my passion, but it wouldn't exist if there was no audience, if there weren't other people that have supported since day one these ideas that I've had. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, thank you so much for this. I hope that you guys got a lot out of this conversation. I hope that you subscribe to Reelblack and actually share it. As he said, don't just like the video, share it so that other people can see and know and be aware that it exists. That is definitely something that I think we need to do more. We're so focused on the likes and how many likes we get, and we're not focused on how much and how often people are sharing the information that's being put out there, because that's really why creatives do the things that we do, is so that it can be shared and people can see it, not for you to just say, oh, I like that, and you like it. We want our voice to be shared and amplified. So I love that you said that, because that's definitely a very, very important message.
Yeah, I know you're rapping. I mean, but
no, go ahead.
Also, I think, there's a lot of chatter. I think it's very important that people, I try not to waste people's time. When you see the logo, that's worth your time. But yeah, I mean, I just think it's very evident what these issues and problems are. I always look at it the other way. Why haven't they been solved by now? Not in terms of we didn't fight hard enough or whatever. There's always this thing, that thing going on. But I honestly believe, if we could have solved a lot of these sooner, one, if the people that got over that mountaintop or precipice had enough to give back, they didn't fear losing something by going back and giving. I think that's really the one thing I think that's really prevented Black people as a unit from really being unified. When we left those neighborhoods, nobody came back. We started to believe and buy into the same belief systems that the media tells us about ourselves and all this other stuff. And this value system of, if you don't have it, then you didn't work for it. I think it's very evident. If anybody pays attention, even if you just like, watch 13th, you start to see, if you give things time, you actually have the ability to pay attention, you see that it's designed this way. So, just like, we can't be rapping about it and talking about how oppressive it is and thinking that that's all we are. We all have different layers and levels to ourselves as human beings. When we walk out the door, we have the stigma as Black people, and we can't buy into that. So whatever I do, I just want people to know they have choices. There are options available. You don't have to buy into every stereotypical mythology belief about yourself. And if you feel like you're among people that are like that, and you don't feel that way yourself, get away from them.
Absolutely.
Just step away. Just like put 5 hours into some other information, and you can even flip a coin and get on. Don't feel like everything you got to watch is white people or black people either. I love Noam Chomsky. And there are a lot of just hang around smart people like us.
Yeah, there you go.
Me and Ericka, you'll be all
there
right.
You go. You'll be good. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. You guys, Mike, thank you so much for this conversation. These are the conversations we need to have. These are the conversations that need to be shared. And so I really appreciate you for taking the time out to do this with me today. And just thank you for the work and the hard work that you've been doing over the years.
I appreciate you
with that channel. So thank you.
Even just on the level of just being a parent and expanding your love to the rest of the community is a gift. So I appreciate you. So
thank you.
And let's all build each other up. Because again, it's the recipe is people don't do unto others, or maybe they have different motives than what they start out with. Their motive shifts. So keep focused.
Yes.
It's a marathon, in the words of Nipsey Hussle.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike, and thank you guys for watching.